Gamers of Reddit, what gaming experience will you never forget and why? Riding into Mexico in Red Dead Redemption. The music comes in at it's absolutely perfect. The end of Portal 2. In particular the final portal you shoot. I'd waited until I finished my exams to play it. Then basically stayed up all night to finish it. What an ending that was. Sadly of course it turned out to be the ending of the whole Half-Life Portal universe D. I married a man in Star Wars Galaxies and my town threw a huge wedding celebration for us. After the gifts and speeches we went back to his place and I stole everything he owned. In actuality I was a 13-year-old boy posing as a lady and my buddy was the wedding planner and convinced the town to make sure to bring gifts. He even got paid by the town. The entire thing was premeditated and we laughed for days and days non-stop. Edit. If you check out the sidebar of RSWG you can go from 0 to playing in about 15 minutes. See you on Basilisk. The Pie Show Mantis fight of Metal Gear Solid. Snake, plug your controller into the second controller port. Nowadays, such a thing would be considered trite or a cute gimmick at best. But for the time period when it came out, 1998, and the first time I played it, I was probably about 10 or 12 at the time. It was mind-blowing. For people who don't know what I'm talking about, in the first Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation, and later ported to GameCube, there's a boss you end up fighting called Psycho Mantis. He claims to be a true psychic and proves it to you by saying things like I'll make your controller move through sheer force of will and then causing it to vibrate. He comments on other games you've played, reading your memory card, makes you think he's turned off the game by doing the default input screen, and even avoids all of your attacks until an ally calls and tells you to plug your controller into the second controller port. It was amazing. When I was around 4, I was playing Mario Kart on the SNES with my older brother who was around 7 years old. I was falling behind and he refused to wait for me to catch up. I got angry and bit him. I know it's weird, but it's just stuck in my memory. That was the first and last time I bit someone and it was over a video game. Learning the big secret of Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic about your main character for the first time. I didn't complete the game until way after it was released. I was really young when it came out and didn't even know what Star Wars was, but I never saw anything about it since it seemed like a forgotten game. I have to say, when the big reveal happened, I was shocked and excited. Edit. Thanks for the silver. Stranger. No idea WTF it means. I'm not much of a redditor but I'll take it. The first little sister encounter in Bioshock. Modern Warfare 2 was my introduction into online games. I had to beg my grandparents to get Wi-Fi for the house so I could play with my friends. One school night it's like 3 in the morning and I'm playing Search and Destroy with my friends. We get put into a lobby with a whole clan and they start talking ungodly amounts of it. Here I am in my undies, middle of the night and yelling all kinds of it back at them. I just remember us winning and us rubbing it in the noses while we watch as they all leave the lobby one by one. Last mission of Halo 3, where the floor is collapsing and you're on the Warthog. I'll remember the feeling I had playing it for the first time with my friend in like 3rd grade forever. Such a epic mission. Killing Pathurnax. I still feel bad about it years later. Beating Halo 3 on Legendary with my brother's split screen on a small TV in our room. It took us weeks to get to the last level and then it took us hours to get past the part where you drive the Warthog to the ship where the ground keeps falling down. It was one of the best moments I've felt after beating a game. First time getting to Hyrule Field in Ocarina of Time. The kids today that grew up with 3D open world games have no idea just how mind-blowing it was when it was new. Killing my dog in Minecraft. I misclicked with a bone, trying to tame it, and accidentally hit it and I had to end its life. When I grew up we always had that sort of itty computer which wasn't all bad but installing a game was always kind of a jeopardy. It just might not work. So back in 2005, World of Warcraft had finally gotten traction and the news had begun reporting about the online sensation. People were discussing how big it actually were and the possibilities it offered. So at Christmas, I finally got it. I was overjoyed and couldn't wait to get home and plug it in. For those who doesn't remember, it had 5 or 6 discs. which meant 5 or 6 chances of something ducking up for my PC. As far as I remember, it took about 8 hours to install with me constantly leaping in the check on it and change CDs. But then, just around dinner time, it finally finished and the old screen of the giant portal appeared. The next year or so would be completely dedicated to that game. But I'll never forget that certain kind of curiosity and wonder that wow brought me on that first encounter. Edit. There are Avengers, Endgame spoilers in controversial, or trolls. I don't know. Just so you've been warned. Mass Effect 3 and Mordin Sacrifice. Had to be me. Someone else might have gotten it wrong. May you always collect more seashells. Edit. Thanks for the gold. Anonymous fan of BioWare games. Surprised no one has said this but Batman Arkham Asylum, when the game seemingly starts over for no reason and you realize it's just a scarecrow vision. I was so confused then completely blown away. The first 20 minutes of The Last of Us. This ducking game gets you instantly invested in a few characters within a ridiculously short time, and then subsequently breaks your heart harder than any game ever broke it before. Also the first hour of God of War. The boss fight with the stranger is quite possibly the greatest thing I've ever experienced in a video game to date. The first, and only, time I beat another human in a game of StarCraft II 1v1, because I realized, hey, I outplayed this guy. I didn't have teammates who could carry or feed and neither did he. I just played better than him overall, and that's why I won. It felt great to know that I beat someone because I played the game better than them on an individual level, without having to factor anybody else into the equation. I mean, who the hell sees that I have a bunch of tanks sieged up on the high ground with other units supporting them, and then tries to push up the ramp anyway? And then, few games after that, I placed in bronze III. The first time seeing the graphics and playing Super Mario 64. Edit. Why did Nintendo eventually fall behind in graphics when they were ahead for a bit? What's stopping them from making a PS4 color? I'll be the first one here to say no Russian. Nobody forgets that one. Today, I just beat Bloodborne for the first time and honestly, the whole ride was amazing. I used to play Shadow of the Colossus with my little brother watching and commenting besides me, and this is such a nice memory for me, especially now that we've grown apart and we don't see each other that much anymore. 2 scarabs. I repeat, 2 scarabs. Installing this thing called Steam so that I could play Half-Life 2 when it released at midnight. Played through the whole thing in a single 6-8 hours sitting. Loved every bit of the experience. The quest in Fallout New Vegas where you have to find out who killed Boone's wife amongst the friendly townspeople. It was the perfect marriage of gameplay, well-written dialogue, killer pacing, top-notch characterization, gut-wrenching decision-making, all with a demon dark tone. This showed me the potential video games had in telling interactive stories with dire consequences, and this particular moment stood out amongst so many others in this incredible game. First time playing Skyrim. The first time seeing that opening scene was pretty exciting. Also, being murdered by townspeople because I killed a chicken a short while later. First 99 in RuneScape. All those yew trees taught me what grinding is. First time killing Oryx in Destiny. King's Fall was such a massive, dark, beautiful raid, and blowing a giant alien god off the ship and spiraling into Saturn's orbit was just a rush that I remember feeling for a day or two. Great stuff. Miss that raid. Not really so much a gamer anymore, but when I was a wee baby I had almost beat all of Super Mario World and my sister saved over IT. I will never forgive you, Jessica. Ever. The scene in Red Dead 2 where everyone walks up to the Braithwaite's house. I literally had the good, the bad and the ugly song playing in my head when that scene showed up. Such an awesome moment. Edit. Jesus Christ, I was not expecting almost 1k upvotes. Thank you so much. Getting my first, and only, nuke on MW2 multiplayer. I was in 5th grade at the time and I made this whole plan with where to camp, run around it to keep myself as safe as possible, along with using the heartbeat sensor to know when people were coming after me. I essentially sat at the enemy spawn for the entire match of domination. and when I ran out of ammo in my primary gun there was only 30 seconds left in the match, so I ran out into the middle of the map. I started getting shot when I turned a corner and ran straight at the guy and knifed him. I immediately died after, but that one last kill was all I needed as I got the nuke and called it in. Fallout 3, when you first exit the vault, was pretty awesome. My first solo PvP kill in EVE, the shakes are real. The ending of The Last of Us, it left me completely shocked and in awe. Having like 20 people in my Minecraft server and everything going to it once someone got flint and steel. The first time I beat a video game on my own, it was Kingdom Hearts 2 and I felt so accomplished at the age of 11. I think I was 11 back then. It's pretty telling when I start a bunch of video games but only finish a few. I suck. Skyrim. Easy. I was 11 and had been playing linear, fairly boring kids games up until that point. I had really lost interest in gaming as a whole. The amount of choice available to you in that game was mind-blowing to me. Walking into Whiterun the first time I remember being very annoyed by that Talos worshipper guy who never shuts up. I did the logical thing and swung an axe at his head, and was ducking shocked when he actually died. Naturally, many killing rampages followed, but I'll never forget that first time. Killing the Lich King for the first time in World of Warcraft. It was super intense and took so much planning and so many attempts. I'll never forget how we all screamed when we did it. From FF7, Aerith's death, and close second is Nanuki learning the truth about his father. In Kota, discovering that you were more than Darth Revan less than. It was mind-blowing at the time. Really wish for another Kota. I love both 1 and 2. Edit for spoiler. Killing my companion Cube. I loved that little guy and then I had to kill him in a fire. Beating Halo Combat Evolved in one night back in 2001. When Kefka actually destroyed the world in FFVI. I knew something was up when I went to the floating continent. All my team members were too low level, but I never thought Kefka would actually win. Grabbing the freaking energy sword in Halo 2. I would say the days me and my friends played through the entirety of Borderlands 2. I honestly would never play through the game alone, as it isn't really my type of game. But honestly, probably some of the best memories I have gaming is me finding a huge rock, climbing on top of it, and singing the Circle of Life as all 4 of us fought to stay on top of the rock using vehicles. We kept trying and trying to push each other off. It wasn't a memorable moment because of the game or the setting. It was memorable because it was just plain dumb fun with my friends, and I'll always remember that. Dead Space. I don't know why I love it so much, but I don't think that there will be another game that I love more. When Oddst came out, they had added achievements to Halo 3 in order to get the Recon armor, which was exclusive to Bungie employees and certain players before that. One of these achievements required you to beat the final level of Halo 3 on legendary difficulty with certain requirements and 3 of your friends. One requirement was that when one person died, you would have to restart from a previous checkpoint. The middle of the level required you to climb up a tower that was loaded with enemies. There was also a NPC with a laser that would kill an enemy every now and again. To make it easier, we would jump on each other's heads to jump onto the next floor so we could all teleport there. For whatever reason, said NPC ended up killing my friend with his laser and sent us back to the bottom of the tower. It took us 4.5 hours to beat that level, but it's hands down one of my favorite memories. World of Warcraft. Cataclysm. Was in college at the time and had 9 real life friends all playing. We had a 54-hour Skype call that at least 2 of the 9 people were on constantly. I have to. Getting my first starter Pokemon. Getting my first skill to level 100 in Skyrim. Never played an RPG until Knights of the Old Republic. What a crazy first time experience. Mine will always be when Rock Band Guitar Hero were all the rage. Those games are by far my favorite gaming memories. All of my friends huddled around a TV in the basement with our itty plastic instruments rocking out and having a good time. There hasn't been a co-op experience like them since and probably never will be again. I miss those games so much. First time playing any game of the Dark Souls series. Sekiro and Bloodborne included. I haven't found a single game that I felt the same thing while trying to explore the world as I did with Dark Souls 3. I can't describe the feeling of going into these games for a blind playthrough. First time raiding in WoW was just an amazing experience too. The never-ending anxiety of alien isolation. Duck that alien. I have no example. I just wanted to say I love you all, and it makes me so happy to hear all your memories from all these different universes. My first time visiting the Nether. Gonna name 3 here because of how memorable they were to me. 1. The ending of Red Dead Redemption 1. The first time I saw it I was so ready to see John Marston live a happy life with his family, only to see it ripped apart in the matter of minutes. Amazing. 2. Killing Ganondorf in The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess. I'm a huge Zelda fan and this ending was the best in the whole franchise. 3. The Warthog Run in Halo 3. I remember playing this for the first time with my brother. It was so exhilarating and I kept thinking that Chief and Arbiter were gonna make it. An amazing ending to the best 3-game trilogy ever. The first time playing through Undertale and realizing that games could have that much of an impact on me. Also, playing Morrowind on the Xbox and stealing every item I could get my hands on. I have hundreds of these moments, but there is one game that goes sadly unrecognized in our gaming landscape. Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. If you have not played this game, you should. If you get it on PC, make sure you have a controller you can play on. I believe it's required. Anyway, the premise is simple. A father lay dying due to some ailment, and 2 brothers, one old, one young, go on an adventure to get him the rare item he needs to recover. On the way, they encounter a world full of danger and wonder. The moment I want to talk about is more than at the end of the game. After all of the dangers they have overcome together, the older brother gets wounded by a creature. He troopers along, but after the younger brother climbs to the top of the tree to get the medicine, he comes back down and his brother has died from his wounds. I teared up. Even worse is that the game makes you dig his grave, drag his body to the hole, drop it in, and bury him. When his brother is dragging the body over, he has to stop and take breaths because he's crying so hard. I was crying with him. Believe me, less than. Also in that game, more than at the very end, you get to an impassable river. You see, the little brother never learned how to swim. The older brother carried him across every body of water in the game up until the end of his life. To get past this creative puzzle, you have to use the same button that the older brother would have used to cross it, and it empowers the little brother to get past it, as his brother inspires his courage from even beyond the grave. I got chills deep down to my soul when I played that part. Less than. More than side note, this game is such a great and emotional journey until the very end. I immediately called my brother up to tell him I love him, because it just felt right to do so. He then played through the game, and did the same a few days later. What a powerful experience. Less than. Please play this game. Everyone. Please. Reddit. Thanks for the Reddit gold. Stranger. See? This wonderful game has brought us all together. Final Fantasy VII blew my mind as a kid. The story is still my favorite of any game, and the soundtrack is just epic. Was completely immersed in it. Played it through in its entirety 3 times. Also, gaming with my brother in college where we lived together for 4 years. We had so many late nights playing on our PS2. Games like Dynasty Warriors 3, Guitar Hero, 007, Twisted Metal Black and Gauntlet. Good times. Gaming has never been the same since we've gotten older. Alloy learning what happened to Elizabeth Sobek the Alphas in Horizon Zero Dawn. Poignant and somber. Beautifully done. Edit. Hey, thanks stranger for my first silver. Very happy it was from a post about my most favorite game in the world. Playing the Titanfall 2 campaign for the first time. Such a fun and memorable experience. After that I beat the game about 5-6 times on Master. One of my favorite modern campaigns of all time. Playing Super Smash Bros. With my little brother and 2 other friends huddled around our 19 inches TV set. I played Half-Life in my elementary school computer lab. It was just shooting stuff, so it wasn't that bad that kids couldn't play it, I guess. Well, at one point I had run out of ammo and a soldier in tactical gear chased me down several hallways trying to kill me. I finally cornered myself and realized I still had a crowbar. As soon as that nameless minion rounded the corner, I clicked like I was the Flash passing out Morse code. When he finally went down, I was breathing heavy and more than a little horrified that I had beat a man to death with a crowbar. I didn't play the game after that, but it showed me how fun games could be. Choosing my sister at the end of Fable 2. Worst gaming decision I've ever made. The first time the Shivans show up in free space and holy it they have shields. The first time you fight a squad of Marines in Half-Life. That first time, when you feel like you're playing against real people, because you haven't seen through the scripting yet. Capital N, capital I, capital C, capital O, capital L, capital E, capital I, capital S, capital D, capital E, capital A, capital D. The final mission of Halo 3, with a friend at 2 in the morning. Holy what a ride. Also finishing Mass Effect for the first time. Holy ducking it. I beat a Korean pro who was playing on an alt account in StarCraft a few years ago when I was at the top of my game. I currently sit around low masters now and I did practice much, and the win was one of those rare situations where I blindly countered something that I couldn't scout and got lucky. My opponent did some crazy all-in and I just stupidly made some stationary defense and went hard on unit production. I smashed his all-in and walked across the map and killed him. Also, beating Grim Fandango when I was a kid was a ridiculous accomplishment. That was awesome.